podcast of community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, or you just want to drop a hot take on the line, give us a call, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So it's still plenty of sports to go watch, even though it's no basketball or football. Go check out some baseball because my Tigers been killing it, man. Definitely got to do that. But look, man, we're going to jump straight into the voicemail callers because we actually got a few today. And we're going to play them back, just hear what they got to say. They was talking about the Pistons from what I seen in the preview. I ain't listened to the whole thing. I always try to make sure it's worthy to play, like that somebody's actually going to say something. But I don't play the whole thing. I try to, keep it as organic as possible, I should say. But here's the first one. Let's do it. Let's hear what he got to say on this tape.
Hey, this is Ryan. I got a trade. You trade Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, 2 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks from other teams. You trade all that. Try to get Devin Booker, and then going off your Nas Reed take, he declines his player option. You can bring him in for 4-year, $88 million deal. First year, about $19 million. Last year, $23.
Right.
And then you got Cade, Booker, Thompson, Nas, Duran. Still got Isaiah Stewart off the bench. Still got players, Marcus Sasser. You got some draft picks that you can bring in. Still got Simone out there. I guess you get that Booker from the Suns if they're trying to blow it up. Get rid of everybody and then bring in a 3-level scoring big like Nas Reed. The instant contenders.
I mean, all right, I'm gonna play this again. But just first initial reaction is like, yeah, we become contenders for sure. But I think the Pistons already are contenders. Blowing up the squad, blowing up the future, I would say, giving up 4 draft picks. I think that's exactly what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to do so. But I heard Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, which is just crazy. Tobias Harris, I can understand that. And then 4 draft picks. Oh, hell, that's way too much for Devin Booker. That's way too much for damn near anybody in the league right now if it ain't LeBron James in his prime. That's a lot to blow up a team and just kind of get rid of the future. Because Ron Holland's still super young. Obviously, Ivy is still super young. He's coming off an injury, but he's still extremely talented. And then 4 picks is just crazy. Four. I think you said first round, but that's just crazy. And to me, Devin Booker is not worth it. Nas Reed is not. There's no player in the league right now, to me, that's worth giving up 4 draft picks, especially if it's first round for the next few years. And also 2 great players who are still very young and talented. I don't care. No, it's not worth it to me. And again, I'm gonna play it back because I want to make sure I did hear you correctly when you said.
Hey, this is Ryan. I got a trade. You trade Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, 2 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks from other teams.
Oh, yeah, that's nasty.
You trade all that. Try to get Devin Booker, and then going off your Nas Reed take, he declines his player option.
Yeah, we could not do that. That's disgusting. 2 first-round picks and then 4 second-round picks. Ron Holland Jr. and Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris. Oh my gosh, you must be a Suns fan. Because no, respectfully, man, you got to be a Suns fan because that's blowing up the future. That's literally killing a franchise. If we did a trade like that as the Pistons, we would literally be turning into the Phoenix Suns, the Brooklyn Nets, all these teams who try and get that quick fix and then nothing comes from it because I'm not a fan of that one. I do appreciate you calling in, and I like the vision of trying to put it together, bringing in, having Cade, Booker, and Nas Reed all on. I get the vision, but also too, we already don't have that much money. Like, even if we did trade Tobias Harris, we don't have enough money where we could be like, all right, hey, now that we traded Tobias, we can accept Devin Booker's contract and then pay Nas Reed. Like, we just don't have that kind of money, even if we were trying to make this trade happen, which I don't think we should do at all. I mean, 2 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks is just insane. Getting rid of Ivy, getting rid of Ron Holland would just be insane to me. But those guys aren't on huge contracts where it could open up a window where we could bring in a Devin Booker and a Nas Reed. So to me, nah, man, I'm completely out on that. I do respect you, Colin. I love the vision of trying to make sure, Pistons have something to look forward to, but that to me would just kill the future. It would, and I don't, it would just hurt the future bad, man. It would hurt the future bad. And I don't think it results in a championship either, honestly, because we would still need to keep Beasley, and it would just be rough, man. That would be rough. Whew, that would be rough. All right, that's the first one. So we're going to play the other one here. Here's the other take here. He left a voice message.
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Louie. I seen your real the Pistons content. I just kind of wrote the number down. I agree with you, bro. We don't need any star players because right now our time frame, we're kind of young. So if we could, someone who's around 25, 26, the latest I would say is 27. If we could bring somebody here, even as a free agent, but if we do end up trading, the situation we would need to trade for is something more so like, I would say, let's say how Paul George, that's a perfect person, Paul George didn't live up to expectations and he's getting paid $40 million. Well, we know in order to get someone to Detroit, we have to pay a slightly above average player, somebody like Tobias or Bogdanovich, and we have to pay him almost max money. But if we can trade somebody like the 76ers, who has a contract worth $40 million and he's not performing up to the $40 million, that'd be a good situation for us because Paul George, we do know, is capable of dropping 30, 40 points, heck, even 50 on a good day. But his average as of right now is dropped dramatically. So a person like that, where we can get maybe on a 1 or 2 years remaining on the contract, or possibly even 3, I feel like we should move on that because bringing someone like Paul George in, we would know that he's not who he used to be, but he's also someone that can create a shot from not needing the pass. He can create his own shot, and he's just as strong on defense. And it's obvious that everyone knows it's K's team, but that kind of bringing that kind of player on board wouldn't be any conflict in interest as far as who team is or anything like that. So if we could get somebody on the magnitude of that level, we don't have to overpay for them, but at the same time, we have no real contracts outside of K's anyway. So if we can bring somebody like that on board, it is worth doing, but it's not worth trading our young assets for. No, we can do it as a salary dump for them, and it'll be a nice option, a 1A, 1B type situation with Paul George being here, and the defense intensity does not drop. But it has to be somebody like that, or even maybe like a Brandon Ingram or somebody like that, but preferably someone who go both ways. But I do agree with you, it's not worth tearing up the roster, bringing somebody on board, because it doesn't work anyway.
Okay, yeah. So this is facts, man. Of course, appreciate you for giving us a call first and foremost. And man, I was agreeing with you for a second. I agree with you on the back end of that entire voicemail. And it's a unique perspective to say Paul George, because initially when you say, look, we should go grab a guy like Paul George, I'm not going to lie to you. Initially in my mind, I'm like, hell no. Like, the contract is huge. He's got like 50 mil left for the next 2 years on his contract. It is a little absurd to think like, all right, Pistons got to go get him. But the only reason I'm not about to tweak out and like go crazy about everything you said is because you did say it's not worth giving up the young assets. If we can't make it happen, we can't make it happen. And you mentioned like we need a guy who can go both sides, play both ends of the ball. And this is so true. And this is why I want to give you the slack for it. However, I think there's other players out there outside of Paul George, or that could be more productive than Paul George. I know you mentioned someone, Brandon Ingram. He's another guy. I think Naz Reid is a guy. Like we mentioned, like the video that caught your attention. Jaren Jackson is also another guy to me. He's not like a defensive, obviously defensive of the year candidate, but that award that's a whole nother conversation of the award. But I think Jaren Jackson is even another guy who could probably be a good fit because he plays both ends of the ball, and he's being able to expand his game offensively. As far as like actually trying to make the Paul George thing happen, to me, it just wouldn't be worth the hit on the luxury tax because Paul George is obviously coming off an injury, and things are slow over there. So maybe we could, talk to Philly and make something happen. But the only way I wouldn't be opposed to getting Paul George on this Detroit Pistons team is if we did not have to give up a bunch of young assets. If we did not have to give up a Ivy, a Ron Holland, multiple draft picks, that's the only way where I'm like, all right, okay, let's bring on Paul George and, see what it is for the year. But he got 2 years left, actually 1 year left on his deal. Then after that is the player option. Then he's a free agent. But I mean, he's 35. He's 35. So I gotta go with my initial gut reaction here of yes, it could be beneficial seeing Paul George there, especially if we didn't give up a lot, like you mentioned. But Paul George is 35, man. He's getting up there in basketball years. We don't know how he's going to come back and perform after this injury. And then ultimately, is that really worth $50 million a year? To me personally, it's not. So that's just where that's what I think about when I hear about, maybe make something happen, call Philly and get Paul George. But it is a unique perspective. And again, I'm not completely opposed to it as long as it doesn't result in the Pistons getting tore up in the back end. But I think it's something, it's unique, man. That's a unique perspective there on the Paul George situation. So maybe we could make it happen, but I think I'm gonna stay strong on my thoughts of trying to get a 4. Someone who is like a solid 4 for the Pistons, a Naz Reid, what is Aldima from the Grizzlies. He's a nuts. Yeah, Santi Aldima. He's a great player from the Grizzlies who could be a great pickup. Jaren Jackson Jr., another guy, kind of expensive right now, but I mean, still, I think these would be people who come in and make an immediate impact on the Pistons right now, rather than, trying to make some magical trade happen like a Devin Booker, or trying to make something happen where we land like an actual big name star, Paul George, who's kind of on a decline too. But that's what also scares me about Paul George is like, yeah, I understand what you mean on, if we don't get screwed in the back end trying to get Paul George, maybe it could be good for the Pistons. But to me, seeing Paul George in a Pistons uniform, knowing that he's 35 going on 36 years old, to me, it just makes me think of Pistons getting Tracy McGrady, Pistons getting Chris Webber, Pistons getting Allen Iverson, all these guys who were in their prime and did such great things. And then when it was time to wrap it up, they went to go put on a Pistons uniform. We can't have that. And for 53 mil, I think it is for Paul George for the next 2 years. No. We can't risk it right now. And you did say this. You said we don't need to rush anything or try and force any type of trades. But that's just where my head goes initially when I think about Paul George in a Pistons uniform. And it rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why, man. But for some reason, it really does just trigger me. I don't know. Anyway. Look, man, that's all we got for the voicemails. If you want to shoot us a voicemail, leave us a quick take, 219-413-9405. We'll play your take back. Man, both of y'all who called, man, I appreciate it. I know some of these I played later than what you guys actually sent. And I can't promise every time, it'll be spot on 100%. Like as soon as you send it the next day, we're airing. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all like that. Wouldn't dare do that. But I mean, if the timing is right, of course I will, but sometimes it's difficult because there's a lot of shows. But I do want to say this. Before we go to the next segment, NBA draft, Tariq Skubal, Detroit Tigers, all of that. Before we go to that next segment, I do want to let you know, everybody now look, at this point, man, you are welcome to get on the show. Leave a comment on anything. You are welcome. Just comment. We'll try and, reach out. If we don't reach out like within the first 3 days, reach out to me, man, because I'll respond. We'll get you on the show. It's the off season. So of course, we're just looking for more and more people to get on the show, talk about all kind of things, get these crazy takes in. So the run is open to every single person now. If you see it and you do want to be a part of it, just comment and we're going to reach out to you, or you reach out to us if we don't reach out in the first 3 days. But other than that, I mean, I don't care. Either way, we want you to get on the show. Long story short, especially if you're trying to talk sports. Now, if you're trying to talk about something like you trying to promote some sea moss, or you're trying to promote some pills or whatever, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing none of that. But other than that, we'll get you on the show. Just let me know. I'm trying to bring literally everybody on at this point. We just got to find the schedule and stuff, especially since it's off season of the sports we usually talk about. So y'all going to be hearing some baseball takes anyway. Anyway, look, man. All right, it's halftime. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We got some more stuff on NBA draft and also a little small thing on the Detroit Tigers coming up in the World Series. But we'll be right back. It's halftime. All right, man. So the NBA draft, it came on yesterday, June 25th, and part 2 is today, June 26th. And, I will just be honest, bro. The NBA draft is garbage, bro. I don't know how this came into play, and I don't know where in the world Adam Silver thought we wanted to see 2 days of an NBA draft, but that was not it, bro. I'm sorry. I'm happy for everybody who's gotten drafted and in the mix of getting drafted. That's so exciting for them, of course. But for some reason, it just does not compare it just does not compare to the NFL draft like we usually see. And I think a big part of this is because we don't know who the hell some of these dudes are. Everybody in the NBA, in college basketball that's mostly going to the league, some of these guys haven't even played college ball. They play overseas, and then now they're getting drafted to the NBA, which is great. But I think a big problem is the marketing behind it. We don't know who these guys are in the NBA and who's getting drafted barely on night 1. And then you air part 2, day 2. We really don't know who the hell any of these dudes are. Everybody's so one and done and so the game is becoming universal. So now guys are getting picked from Germany, from France, from Real Madrid team. Like you're getting so many players from everywhere. It's hard to follow and it's not talked about enough. So it's hard to rejoice certain players getting drafted to certain teams. At this point, not gonna lie to you, man, I'm seeing teams and I'm seeing players get drafted to certain teams, and I'm like, I don't know I gotta look and find who the hell this dude is, because I genuinely don't know. I ain't never heard of him. I ain't never heard of this man. So and it's tough because I want to be invested and I want to care about all of it. But it's hard to follow, one, because of the transfer portal. Guys are leaving and going everywhere. So guys who were top prospects are, just kind of everywhere in the world right now with basketball. And then also, too, with the one and done thing. With NFL draft, a lot of times you get 3 years to really hone in and learn more about a guy and see who he is and learn about what he did in the past in high school. And then obviously, he transferred from LSU to Bama and this. Like you get to follow a guy's journey a little bit more, and maybe it's just credit because the NFL is doing it better. I don't know. But ultimately, I know players being in a collegiate field for 3 years straight definitely helps their chances of people knowing who they are. And then also it helps because if you're getting drafted in the NFL, you're not really coming from Germany. You're not really coming from France. You're coming from the scene of college football of LSU, Nebraska, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama. Like you're coming from college football. So it's easier to follow and pay attention to what this dude has done in the past. In the past 3 years, to be exact, because we've been able to follow their game versus the whole one and done thing. So it's tough. And maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm supposed to be on top of everything when it comes to, he's drafted here and this guy's a great prospect and all that. I'm going to be 100% honest, though. I just don't know who the hell a lot of these people are in the NBA draft, man. Cooper Flagg, obviously. I pay attention. I mean, I know Ace Bailey, some of, the hyped prospects, of course, but a lot of these people, I can't tell you who the hell. I could probably tell you who 4 of the 10 people are who went top 10 in the NBA draft. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a fraud. Maybe I'm a casual. Or whatever. Get your jokes off. Maybe I'm the casual when it comes to college basketball and the NBA draft. Who cares? But to me, NFL draft is just by far so much better in terms of the presentation, in terms of letting us know who the hell these people are and what they did in the past 3 years. But maybe it's the age requirement. Maybe, I don't know what it is. We just need answers. So to me, this is what I'm thinking about the NBA draft. And, you know, I'm like, I didn't ask for anything of a day 2 for the NBA draft. I should say that, because day 1, I already barely know who the hell a lot of these people are. And then now you're going to say, I got something else for you. Take another one, Adam Silver. Like, it's crazy to me. But you know what? Let's go ahead and switch up the scene a little bit, because, you know, a hometown team of mine, they've been playing good. I keep telling you guys about the Tigers. And the Tigers, they have been on a tear. And I know it probably sounds crazy, but we'll wrap up in just a sec. But I know it sounds crazy. Actually, I'm sure it sounds insane. And a lot of people probably haven't thought about it. But a Detroiter being in Chicago, living in Chicago, I would love to personally see a Detroit Tigers and a Chicago Cubs World Series. I know nobody has really thought of this, but it's a huge possibility right now, because the Tigers are the first team to 50 wins. They're also first in the American League. And then the Cubs, they're second in the National League. They're only behind the Dodgers, but the Cubs have also been on a tear. Both of these teams have been playing really good. And I really do think it's a huge possibility we could see a Cubs-Tigers World Series. Now, I know, look, before people start talking about the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mets and the Red Sox, I know, man, look, it's a lot of teams out there that are talented and are still very good. And obviously, we haven't even reached the All-Star break yet. So it's a long shot. I understand that part of it. But I'm just saying, with the Tigers, I would more so want to see the Tigers get to the World Series. Although I live in Chicago, more so than I want to see the Cubs get to the World Series. Because the Cubs was there in 2016. And when you think about 2016, yeah, it was a decade. But the Tigers, they went in 2012 and lost. So they didn't even get to celebrate. They win in 2012. That was the last appearance. The last win was 86 for the Tigers. So it's been a long line of, I want to get back. I want to win once we get back. And this, to me, would be the deal where I'm like, all right, let's see. Let's get the Tigers back there. And if it happens, I would love to see the Cubs get back there too. However, it's not going to be easy. For me, I think the Tigers are just a few things away. One of the things that I really think the Tigers would benefit from right now is some consistency within the pitching. Now, obviously, we know Dietrich Ends and Schoolboy are amazing. But in most recent times, we've seen some tragedies from one of the pitchers, and he's been getting a lot of flack, man. A lot of people have been on this dude's head, man. Jack Flaherty, they've been on his head. And I think the whole Flaherty situation, yes, he has been bad, but I think it's a slump. I think he'll pick it up and he'll get better and better as the season comes to an end, and hopefully as the playoffs come around, so he can really help us propel and get to the World Series. That's what I would hope for. But I know he was bad, man. But sometimes in these situations where we have one standout who's just not really performing well, you got to look at the good side, because Schoolboy's still been playing amazing. You got Ends, he's been playing amazing too. In this game today against the A's, he allowed 0 runs, only 3 hits. Like, he's been good. So sometimes you just got to take the little bad and just kind of pile it into the good. It's going to be okay. And I think, down the line, maybe he'll get better. You still got Green. He's been playing great. Spencer Torkelson, he's been playing great as well. Both of these guys are top 10 when it comes to hitting and home runs right now. So it's a big bright side for the Tigers. And, it's not going to be easy, but I do think this is a jump they can make. Last year, they surprised a lot of people because nobody even knew who the hell they had on their team. But yet they still somehow, made it to the postseason, and it didn't really go as far as they thought. But me as a Tigers fan, it did shock us in terms of like, wow, they're even in the playoffs? All right. Oh, they won a game. All right. Like, it did give us a little shock. At least me personally, it gave me a little shock seeing the Tigers last year. But now they have certified talent, and people are beginning to even play better. Like, Javi's been on a tear. He's been playing great. I'm super happy to see him play great again. A lot of people thought he was finished. But I'm just happy to see that the Tigers are actually on the right track. So I think this could be the year that we see the Tigers possibly, if not a World Series, of course, we could see them go back to the playoffs and just have a good playoffs run. Above all, that's what we want. Now, me saying Tigers Cubs World Series has to happen. Ideally, I would love for that to happen, but that's just me and my selfish ways of, you know, being a Tigers fan and living out in Chicago. So that's just me. But I would love to see a Tigers Cubs World Series. And Cubs, they've been great too, but there's some tweaks they need to make in order to actually go on a deep playoff run and make something happen. They're second right now in their conference, but I mean, it's still a lot of competition over there as well. And same for the Tigers. I'm not going to disregard everybody else who's solid in the American League right now as well. And I know Astros is there. You got a couple of different teams, and we haven't reached the All-Star break. So I don't want to get too excited, but I just want to drop the bug in your ear, let you know that Tigers Cubs World Series is possible. And it might happen. And for me, just know I would be in awe. I would be so excited about that if I did see that happen. So anyway, look, man, I appreciate you guys for kicking it. Anybody who is in the live on YouTube, Instagram, wherever you know you could check us out. I really do appreciate you guys tuning in, of course, and send this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, niece, nephew, coworker, friend, family member, anybody you know who enjoys sports. I promise you they will not mind that I talked about their team. Probably be happy. So I'm gonna leave y'all on a positive note, and the positive note here is just gonna be as simple as be grateful for the problems that you have, because no matter what you do, it's gonna always be problems in any aspect of your life, whether you got a bunch of money, whether you got a little money, it's gonna always be problems. But just be grateful for the problems you have, because you could have a completely different set of problems that you are dealing with, and we don't know how those problems would weigh on you if you were going through that. So be grateful for the problems you have, because you can't escape problems no matter how much money you have, how little money you have, how much positivity you have, how much negativity you have. Either way, problems gonna always be around. So just be grateful for the problems you have. I'm gonna leave it at that, and accept it however you want. But I'm up out of here, man. It's the weekend for a lot of y'all and for me personally. So I'm gonna chill. Check out some of these games. Check out some of these Cubs Tigers game. My guys have been killing it, man. They've been killing it. But other than that, man, I'm up out of here. I'll talk to y'all later on next week. And then from there, I'll be back. So on and so on and so on.